So in order to customize OIM, you have to use a managed bean created by ADF or with ADF, and then you have to deploy it to OIM. So first things first is you have to grab all the libraries. So you need the OIM client, of course. So this document is a pretty good explanation of how to set up your environment. Of course, you'd want to use, the version 12. This is probably 11 or something. So be careful with that. So it tells you where to find all the OIM ADF libs and then the OIM client. And then there's a couple ways you can do it. You can follow the instructions here and replicate all the folders so that the JDev lib files work. Those files are basically a list of directory jar files, so you can import them into JDeveloper and it can find them. I did it a little bit different, but you can choose. I'll show you how I did it shortly. So this is just a way to get it set up, how to create the application. You're creating a model and a view, and that's in here, creating the ADF application. You have the tutorial here. That's about as far as you need to go for this example, but this shows you how to get it initially set up. Of course, you want to install JDeveloper. Okay, I'm running JDeveloper on a distribution called Ubuntu. It's Ubuntu Lite. It's pretty fast, and JDeveloper actually works pretty good on it, surprisingly. So I just downloaded the bin file and fired it up. It's the 12.1.3 version, 12C. It's 12.1.3, something like that. But anyway, it worked with the 12C PS4. Okay, so here's what I did. So the libraries, what I did was I copied all the libraries over into a folder. I created a Java libs folder. I have an ADF folder that has all the model libraries, they tell you, and then all the view libraries here. Then I have the OIM client in here, and then I just went into tools, manage libraries, and created user libraries. And so here's the OIM client, the OIM model, the OIM view libraries. They're all in here. Okay. So once you do that and you created the project, then you can create a class. I have some helpers here. I'll put this up on Bitbucket so everybody can get it. It's a good starting point for a managed bean for OIM. Okay, so once you create your code here, this is the very simplistic version. You can find some more complicated ones, and I think I even have some. I'll see if I can find them and get the source up there. But this is basically something you want to do, like if you want to disable a button or enable a button, you can return true or false, those kinds of settings. You can say if a panel should be visible to somebody, that kind of thing. All right, so what we did was we set this up. There's another document over here that I was using. I think it's over here. This one here tells you how to deploy it. And I'll show you when I did up here. So, Oracle Stack. This later on, it shows you how to build the WAR file and deploy it. So essentially, what you're doing is, so I copied this over. I built the jar file here, creating a deployment. So you can do that here. That document I just showed you shows you how to set up this deployment. So you end up with an ADF jar file, and what you have is one that looks something like this. So let's go to the downloads where I have it. I can't find it. Well, anyway, let's look over here on this VM. So I copied the file down from the Ubuntu machine, uploaded it to the OIM machine. So now in the downloads directory here, I have that ADF. That's the managed bean that I just created using JDeveloper. So I copied it over here, and the reason being is you have to deploy this into OIM. If you look for OIM, if you search the directories where OIM is installed, you'll find this war file. Your jar file has to be wrapped into this war file. So what I do is I create a temp directory where I unwind the war file, and then in WebInf you have a lid folder, and in the lid folder you put your jar. Then you basically use the jar command to recreate this. So the way I do it is like that. So I pack it up. I just repack the whole thing, the war file again, repackage it, and then I copy it over to replace the one that's there in OIM, and that's where it goes. Then, of course, you have to restart OIM every time you do this. So I've already taken care of that. So once you do that and rebuild the war and repackage it, and then you restart OIM, now you can go in, create a sandbox, and actually use it. Okay, so let's do that. All right, so here's our identity. We have our sandbox. Let's activate the sandbox. Okay, so doing something very simple here with a button. So let's customize here. Structure. Let's do the refresh button just to test it. You don't actually have to change anything to test the code. So let's edit this guy. Now over here we have a disabled option. We can use an expression builder. I have one already here. So we have two methods in that code. Okay, one other thing I forgot to show you is you have to go into this ADFC config, and this is where you define the backing bean. Okay, and we call it OIM extended context. It's very important. You'll see here. So when we have our function, that's what we're doing. We're telling ADF it's a backing bean scope. This is the name we gave the bean in the config, and this is the method in that bean. So if we test it, we should get back true. Okay, cool. So now we got the other one. Okay, this one's even better. So now this one lets you actually pass in the user from the actual OIM context. All right, so we'll set that there. Now if we go here into the logs, let's tap this down a little, put a marker there. Okay, we go here now, let's test it. Okay, we got back true because I'm just doing that all the time. But look over here. So now we actually printed out all of the roles and the admin roles that user has because we pulled them right from the OIM context right here. So we pass in the current user from the OIM context, and then we can use current user get roles, current user get admin roles, and that's what you get back. So there you have it. Not very difficult.